Hey guys, this is Spencer the Thomas Fan here, and I'm back once again to review some more shows. This time, we're doing Cartoon Network. Now, much like Nickelodeon, I'm gonna spend 20 seconds on every show instead of 30. Why? Because I need a break. So let's get started. First off, we're starting off with Cartoon Planet. Now, this show started on Cartoon Network. I haven't seen the old one, but I've seen the new one. The original aired, it aired on Cartoon Network. The new one actually had older shows from back in the day. You could see it on Friday back in the day in 2012. So I would say it's okay. Next we got Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which is the talk show that originally aired on Cartoon Network for a little bit, but then moved to Adult Swim for unknown reasons. But this show, I haven't seen it much, so I'll say it's okay. Next we got the What a Cartoon Show. Now, the only cartoon I knew that aired on this network was the Courage the Cowardly Dog pilot about the chicken. So, aside from that, I haven't really seen it much, so I would say it's okay. Alright, now we're moving on to the cartoons. We're starting off with Dexter's Laboratory. Now, Dexter's Laboratory is actually... The old ones were slightly better than the new ones. It was made by Genndy Tartakovsky, who made another show we're going to get to in a bit. So, to me, it's okay, I guess. Next, we're moving on to Johnny Bravo. By the way, you guys know the shirt. Well, anyways, Johnny Bravo is actually... I don't really mind the show. I think it's good. A bit. You know, the animation's good, the characters are cool in their own way. The only episodes I like from this show are The Sensitive Male and Bravo Doobie Doo. They're my favorites. Anyways, moving on to Cow and Chicken. Now, some of you might say this show aired on Nickelodeon, but it didn't. It's on Cartoon Network. I was actually kind of confused why it aired on Nickelodeon. I mean, it belonged to Cartoon Network. I mean, what the heck? But I don't really like it. Next, we're moving on to its spin-off, I guess you can say, I Am Weasel. I Am Weasel. But I'm sorry, guys. I don't really like the show either. I appreciate what it's trying to do, but I'm just not a fan of it. If you have a different opinion, that's fine. Next, we're moving on to the Powerpuff Girls Old and New. Let's start with the old one. The old Powerpuff Girls was awesome. Alright, the animation was good and characters are cool. But the new one, my oh my, the girls doing bad things with a panda bear. That is so messed up. Seriously. Next moving on to one of my personal favorite Cartoon Network shows, cartoons on Cartoon Network, Ed, Edd n Eddy. You guys should already know my opinion on the show. I frickin' adore it. The animation's awesome, the characters are cool, the theme song's frickin' amazing. It's so catchy with the whole whistling going on. And yeah, it's such a great show. Love it. Next, we're moving on to another one of my favorite Cartoon Network shows from Cartoons. Courage the Cowardly Dog. You guys should already know my opinion on this show as well. It's a great show. What else am I supposed to say? It's a great show. I love the characters, I love the theme song. And you know, I know it's weird and all, but it's supposed to be that, because what else? Next we got, by the way, these shows aren't in its particular order. They're kind of messed up, because that's what I am. Anyways, we got some show called Mike, Lou, and Og. I haven't seen this show much, so I can't say much about it, so moving on. Next up, we got Sheep in the Big City. Now, this show I haven't seen much either, but as I heard from my good friend Do-Not1999, he said this show is good and it's classic. And I guess he's right. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't say much about it, so moving on. We got another show that Do-Not1999 likes. Time Squad. Now, as I heard from him, this show is not only entertaining, it's also educational, while talking about, like, historians like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. So, a show that's entertaining and educational, those shows should be good, so I would give that a pass for a good show. Next, we got the other show made by Genndy Tartakovsky, Samurai Jack. Now, Samurai Jack's currently airing on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim block. And it couldn't have been much better, because, you know, it's a pretty decent show. Next up we got Grim and Evil, which is pretty much a mashup between Evil Con Carne and the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. But I love crossover shows. This is why I combine 2 Nickelodeon shows all the time. But for a crossover show, I would say it's good. I would love to see more episodes of this show. Hopefully if I get the time I can see some episodes. Next up we got Whatever Happened to Robot Jones. Now, as I heard from my, of course, Do Not 1999, my good buddy, shout out to you, man. Robot's voice has changed for season 2. I mean, season 1 you liked him because he sounded like a real robot. I really don't blame him. He sounds like a real robot. But in season 2 he sounded more human-like. Yeah, in season 1 he was a lot better, but yeah. Next we got Codename Kids Next Door. What more can I say? Good show. I love the animation, I love the characters, and you know, the action they do is awesome. So next up we got the 2 shows from Grim and Evil. The first one is The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. By the way, this show and Kids Next Door had a crossover. That was a good crossover. And this show, as I heard from different colored critic guy, he said he freaking adores the show. Which, I don't really blame him, because this show actually is good. Alright, it's kind of weird and creepy, but it's a good show. Next up we got Evil Con Carne. Now I actually caught the show airing on Cartoon Planet way back in 2012. And that was the only episode I've seen from the show. So, I would say it's just, Next up we got the Star Wars franchise. Now, I'm not really a huge fan of Star Wars. If you like Star Wars, I respect your opinion. But you're probably asking, isn't Star Wars from Disney? Well, I actually, let me tell you a little story back here. Back when I was a kid, I actually caught Star Wars The Clone Wars airing on Cartoon Network. Weird, isn't it? Star Wars, Cartoon Network airing Star Wars. I know, so weird. Next up, we got Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which this and the Powerpuff Girls were made by Craig McCracken, which he is a good animator. And the show, I actually don't mind. It's an okay show. I don't mind it. And the theme this theme kind of sounds like clocks and the steam engines. So, I don't mind the show. I have Puffy Ami is next. I know Bender Looney likes this show, but there's nothing more I can say. I don't like it. Next we got a show called The Lives and Times of Juniper Lee. Now this show I haven't even heard of, nor even seen. So I can't really say much about it. Some people like Different Colored Critic Guy and Do Not 1999 likes the show, so that's fine, but I can't say much about it. Next up we got Camp Lazlo, which I would like to call one of its spin-offs to SpongeBob SquarePants. Just like the Ren and Stimpy Show, The Mighty Bee, and The Loud House. Those 3 shows are mainly spin-offs of SpongeBob. There's also 2 other shows we're going to get to in a bit, but for now, I think Camp Lazlo is okay, alright? It's an okay show. Next up we got My Gym Partner's a Monkey. It sucks. The end. Next up we got Ben 10 Old and New. The original Ben 10 was awesome. The theme was creepy and it reminded me of the Goosebumps theme song, but I like the original Ben 10, so it's okay, honestly. But the new Ben 10 seriously ticks me off. It's that awful. If Cartoon Network or Boomerang wants to air Ben 10, at least air the original one. You're not going to get watchers if you air the new one. Next up we got Squirrel Boy. Now this show actually scared me as a kid. Like, the theme song sounded like that's what I remember. If I'm wrong about that, yeah, please correct me. But the mother used to scare me as a kid. Like, really. She just looked creepy, I'm sorry. And, you know, the animation and theme isn't really that good. And I'm just wasting time here, so let's move on. Class of 3000. Remember this show? Neither do I, because I haven't really seen it all that much. So I can't really say much about it, so moving on. Next up we got, oh my gosh, one of my personal favorite Cartoon Network shows of all time, Chowder. You take the boom and then you take the ton. You take everything back, sing back fine. Rada, 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 rada. I can't say much about it. It's a great show. I love Snitch Show and I love the characters too.